Hello and welcome. In this video I'm going to be going over the increasing prevalence of the black pill for dating in 2021. And if you've not heard of the black pill before, it basically regards to the set of belief systems that people have with regards to attracting women and like dating in general. And there is two other pills, and I do go over it in depth in the previous video if you want to find out about that, but here's a really quick overview. So good looks is like the main attractor of women, is the first belief of the black pill. So that is ahead of personality, game, money, status, like being kind, like whatever, confidence, all of that. The second point is that your looks are predominantly determined by your genetics. So there are things that you can do to increase like your looks, like such as getting a haircut, gym, cleaning your teeth, skincare, etc. But they can only do so much. So like doing all of those things that I just listed might take you from a 5 to a 6, but you're never going to have a situation of going from a 3 to an 8. The third point is that good looks are objective, so they are like not in the eye of the beholder, as you are commonly told. So every single woman is like chasing the same like top percentage of men, and because of this, only the top percentage of men are able to reproduce. So a subset of men are like abstained from the dating market altogether because they are not able to attract women just because they are too unattractive. And the last point is that status and money can like buy love, so to speak, but the love is not genuine. So they will only love you because of the resources that you have, the money that you have. So like not you on an inner level, like you yourself. Like it's just not authentic type of love. Like you're only gonna attract gold diggers, like in a way. And I just want to make one thing clear before I start this video. So this is not an evaluation. I'm not going to tell you like whether this is right or wrong, whether this is good or bad, or what the future holds, like. And if we need to make changes to like fix this sort of problem. This is purely going to be information and data that I have to you, and then if you want to, you can draw your own conclusions from this information that I'm presenting to you. So the first reason for why the black pill is becoming more prevalent in the 21st century is technology. And there are 4 reasons in total. I'll get to them. But the first reason is technology. No doubt, like obviously technology has had a huge impact in everyone's life for the last 10, 20 years or so. And this can be seen through this graph. So the data I have here is that the it ranks how the medium in which couples meet with regard to like the like tool they use. So the first one that will come to wire will be the online dating. So it starts, like it came, first to the scene about like 1980 or so, and it really took off in the early 2000s and like shot up again in the mid 2000s, mid 2010, sorry. And we can pretty much group these, like all of these different ones, into 3 different categories. So we have online, obviously. Then we have the cold approach, which is meeting people that you've never seen before. So either like going up to them into a bar, restaurant, club, whatever. So this will be the purple line. And then we have the warm approach. Like this is the one that most people are going to be familiar with. So through work, college, friends of friends, family, etc. So like all of these is the so to speak like warm approach. So what does this data mean? So let's have a look at this. Like let's analyze this. So in 1940, this point here, we see the warm approach, which is all of these things, accounted for 88% of couples meeting and forming. Meanwhile, the second form of attraction, approaching, was the cold approach, which amounted for 12%. So the purple line right there, it accounted for 12% of couples being like forming. Contrast to 2017. So the first, obviously, online dating scene like appeared out of nowhere. It accounts for 38%. So it's overtaken. Like look at warm approach. It's gone from 88% to 35%. It's dropped considerably. So online has taken over as first as 38%. Warm approach is now 35%, and then third is cold approach, which has gone up from 12 to 27%. And then that's 2017. So just like having a look at the graph, like I'm trying to like figure out which 2021 will be. It will like these are just estimates. So online will be like roughly 50%. Like just looking at the trajectories of where each line is heading. So cold approach is going to roughly about 30%. Then warm approach, all of these ones are like on considerable decline, are going to go down to 20%. So this is like where the dating scene is heading. So we are like moving to a very online orientated like sort of lifestyle, and like this is for 2021. And obviously, like if you're one of the young folks watching, you want to be like concerned with where it's heading for 2025, 2030, where it's more likely going to be somewhere in the realm up here. Online will be 70 to 80%. Cold approach, maybe like, it might have like dropped a little because online is like having such a big impact. And then warm approach is pretty much going to be non-existent by that point. So what does this mean? For a warm approach, so this was in the early to mid 1900s, the predominant attractor of women would have been like your money / your status. So in a warm environment such as an office, like your position of power will be the most like key. So the CEOs, the executives and managers will do better than your average employee, will do better than your janitors, so to speak. So like your money and status are going to be the most relevant, like the people with the highest positions of power, the most money, and the biggest social circles are going to do the best. And then looks and personality are also going to play a role, like roughly 25%. As I say, like these numbers are plucked out of thin air, but like the gist is still the same, like you get the point. And then game isn't really going to play much of a role in terms of attracting women, because like you're not trying to like use pickup lines or chat up girls in a work environment or warm environment in general. So that's the warm approach. Moving on to the cold approach, like we see a shift that looks is going to be more prevalent, and roughly 60% of the interaction is going to be your looks. So like obviously you're interacting with people you've never seen before, and the first thing that you see is like their looks, their build, their height, etc. And then the rest of it, like 30%, is going to be like your game. So like how confident you are, how good you are at chatting them up, making them laugh, etc. And then I've attributed like 10% like to the other stuff, like your money and status. So like status isn't going to really mean that much like in a cold environment. Like it doesn't matter if you're in a bar and you're the richest man in the room and you've got 20 £50 notes in your pocket. Like no one's going to care. It's not relevant at that point. So the main two things is looks and game for a cold approach. And then moving on to online. So this is what we see in 2021. And in the age of swiping Instagram and Tinder and everything, looks, no doubt, is by and large the most relevant in terms of attracting women. And I've said that it accounts for 90% of the interaction, because like, and then the rest will be your game and personality status, like your texting, your bio, which I've put 10% for. But by and large, your looks, so your photos, will be the most relevant. So for Instagram, a girl's boyfriend, it doesn't matter if his personality is really good. It doesn't show it, but an Instagram profile will show how tall a man is, how good looking a man is, how wide and broad shouldered the man is. So all of these other things aren't really relevant when it comes to online, because it's just such a superficial like thing. So right there, admittedly, we've seen like the Blackpill being proved. So like I've summarised it in this table pretty much. So in the 1900s, which I've referred to as the age of the warm approach, where remember from the data I showed you earlier, 88% of couples were formed via the warm approach, where the importance of looks for that was only roughly 25%. Everything else was 75%. So this like whole era could be considered like the age of the blue pill. Meanwhile, in 2021, in the age of online dating, where 50% of the relationships are formed, and it's only going to increase. Like we saw the trajectory, it was like a hockey stick graph, like it was going up like this, and we're going to see it like even more so by the time 2025, 2030, etc., where 90% of the interaction is going to be your looks, and all of the rest is going to be the other stuff, like your personality or game. So right there and then, we've are seeing strong evidence to suggest that the black pill is gaining more prominence in the dating scene today. Reason number 2, options. So it's all nice, having all of this data showing that looks is more important, but that doesn't mean anything unless a woman has options. It doesn't mean a thing. And you'll see why in a second. So there are a few reasons why women have plenty of options. The first reason is because in the 1900s, people mostly lived in small towns and villages. They were very limited in their radius. Didn't see many men. They were pretty much restricted to the place that they were born in. Meanwhile, in 2021, people lived in large cities. So there are hundreds of thousands, even millions of people living in the same shared space. Reason number 2 is again, same sort of thing. People lived in localized communities in the 1900s. So meanwhile, in 2021, there's mass transportation. So you can there's even intercity travel. So here we lived in small villages and towns, but now we live in large cities, and you can even move from city to city. So meet even more people. So there is huge advantage there. And then the last reason is so in the 1900s there was very limited networking, and it was very classist sort of system as well. So the working class stayed with the working class, the middle class was the middle class, and the upper class was the upper class. And you kind of in the 1900s people had one job, so they got a job when they were young, and then they stayed at that whole job, that one job, for 45 years at the same company. But now we're kind of living in the gig economy. So there are huge networks. So people are moving from place to place, city to city, job to job. They're meeting. Women are interacting with hundreds of men every single year, and this is true for both a real world and an online environment. So on the online has exemplified things even more. So women are able to meet up with hundreds of men. Well, not meet up, but swipe through hundreds of men every single day, if they wanted to. So there's just unlimited options pretty much for women. And why is this relevant? So let's just picture this as an ice cream sort of example. So if you was going to a store and there were 3 options for ice cream, well, you don't like lime, so cross that out. Then these 2 are strawberry flavoured. This one's got sprinkles. So I'll pick that one. So it was fairly straightforward. So you narrowed it down fairly quickly, swiftly. There's not really much to endeavour in here. But now if I gave you 20 options or 50 options or 100 options, now it's become a little bit more difficult. So you have to be a lot more meticulous, and you're going to have to evaluate your decisions each one, whether you're going to really settle down and choose one ice cream. So that's just a little introduction. So there are 2 reasons for why options matters to women. So the first reason is pre-selection based on looks. Women in the 21st century don't have time to try 100 different flavours of ice cream. They don't have time to take 100 different men out on dates. So what is the easiest solution to narrow those numbers down? Well, simple, just looks. Because looks you can decide in less than a quarter of a second. From the first impression you get from looking at their face and their build. It takes very little time, and it's been reduced to swiping, swipe left, swipe right, and you can narrow those options down, simple as that. So that's the first reason. So the worst looking people in the dating market at the moment are going to get rejected straight away, while the best looking people are going to get accepted. That's the first reason. The second reason is compromise. So in the 1900s or so, a woman would have only had 3 options for the reasons already listed, and this would mean that she would she wouldn't have ridiculously high standards. She would have to settle for something. So let's say in the 1900s she had 3 options from work or whatever. So this one has is missing 3 things, so get rid of him. This one missing two things, and this one is only missing 1 thing. So I'll choose him. But now let's say if I gave you 50 options, if I gave you 100 options, 1,000 options, then you're less likely to be willing to compromise. You're going to look for perfection, and bearing in mind that each option is only one swipe away in each instance, then why would you settle down with someone who's missing something, when you could just wait, and the next option is only one swipe away, and he could be ticking every single box. The fact that women have plenty of options has pretty much led to women having ridiculously high standards, like no matter how ridiculous they will be. So the third reason, and this is probably the most important reason, is feminism. So this table here, you can pretty much divide men into like 4 distinct categories. So you can divide men by their genetics. So you will have men with good genetics and bad genetics. Why do women want to have a man with good genetics? Well, because a man with good genetics will give the child the best potential start in life. So he will provide these sort of things, like the child will be tall, strong, attractive, muscular. Like these are good like sort of traits that a woman will want to have for her children. Meanwhile, bad genetics will be unattractive, short, small like build, frame, like so it'll be weak. So pretty much good genetics give the best start in life for the child. A woman will also grade men based on their behaviour. So like you can divide men into a good provider and a bad provider. So a good provider will be like compassionate, hardworking, loyal, a good like provider of resources for the family, and she will want this because he will help provide resources and raise the family. He's there to stick around and like build up strong and healthy children. Meanwhile, the bad provider, he's there. Well, he's not there. So he's lazy. He's unambitious. He's promiscuous, and that's even if he sticks around. Like chances are, like he's just gonna ditch as soon as he's like fertilized a woman. And because of this, like these 4 different categories, we can create 4 types of men. So the first type of man is a high quality man. So he ticks both boxes. He's both a good genetics, and he's a good provider. So this is the man that every single woman wants to chase. Every woman wants this type of man. Then we have our man with good genetics and a bad provider. So this is what I would describe as a fuckboy. So this is like your one night stand sort of man. So he only ticks one box. Like he's good looking. Like a girl would go with him for one night, but she's not going to go into a relationship with this man because he's just too untrustworthy. And then we have a man with who's a good provider and with bad genetics. And this guy I would describe as just an all-round nice sort of guy. So this is the sort of guy that gets friend-zoned. So like he's really kind, he's nice, like he cares, he wants to be a good partner, but because he's genetics, like he ends up getting friend-zoned. Like we can all name plenty of men that we know like this sort of person. And then we have just quickly bad genetics and bad provider. We're not going to like talk about him because like he's irrelevant at this point. He has nothing to offer. So every single woman wants to chase this man, but not every woman can get this man because the problem is, well, he only accounts to about like 2 to 3% of the population. Not every woman can get this level of man. So okay, now let's take a look at the nice guy. So the nice guy is obviously in no shortage. There are plenty of nice guys to go around. Like we all hear these stories about men getting friend zoned. Like we can like name personal anecdotes till the cows come home. There is absolutely no shortage of nice guys. It's in abundance. How about lover and fuckboys? What's the like percentage of them? Are they abundance? Are they short? Well, again, abundance. Fuckboys can settle as many women as they please. Like, and I want to make this point really clear. Like, you might be saying in the comments, whatever, that oh no, people with good genetics are like only in the top 5 to 10% of men. Yes, that might be true, but there is no limit on how many women a fuckboy can like fertilize, so to speak. So I just want to make this point absolutely clear. I'm going to leave it up here in big red text. Any girl can have Chad for one night. So your lovers and fuckboys, the 8s and 9s out of 10s, they will be able to have sex with the any girl who's like a 4 and above, like, which accounts for most girls. Like, most girls who are in their early 20s are going to be above a 4. So there is an absolute abundance of these type of men. So how does feminism tie in with all of this? Well, in the 1900s, obviously every single woman wants this kind of man, but not every woman will be able to get this kind of man because they're in very, very short supply. So what ends up happening is that they had to settle for the nice guy. So, like, as I stated earlier, that the 1900s was like the age of the blue pill, and they couldn't go for this guy because if a woman chose to go with this man, her children are dead. They are dead. They might have had like a very small percent chance of surviving in the like 1800s, 1900s, but it was still like nothing compared to like this sort of thing. And like, if you go back to like ancient times, then yes, her children are like nearly like 100% going to be die because they would have no man to provide resources and the protection that they need from a good loyal provider. So pretty much during the 18 and 1900s, a woman could not afford to go with this type of man. So, and she wouldn't be able to get this type of man either. So she almost had to settle for this guy, the nice guy. So she would have to like make sure that a guy with bad genetics passed on his genes, but he was also there to help raise the family. So he made up for that in that respect. So how does feminism tie in with all of this? Well, feminism pretty much allows for women to get both of these things. So they no longer have to, like, obviously the high quality man is still out of the question, but she is still allowed to get both of these things from both the fuckboy, the good genetics, and the nice guy as being a good provider. So in her like early to mid 20s, she is able to have a fuckboy, like have a relationship that lasts for 2 months, get pregnant, and then the fuckboy fucks off, or ends up divorcing, a one night stand, getting pregnant from those means. So she will have a child with good genetics, and then when she's like, after she's been pregnant, she's had her child, then she looks for a good provider, and that's where she wants her nice guy to step in and to be the like provider of resources and money, like, and financial stability and protection that she needs from her good genetically inclined child. And if you're like questioning the whole legitimacy of this, if you're a man, open up your dating app right now and just have a few swipes. See how many of the women on those apps are single mothers, and we all know deep down why those women are on those apps. They are looking for a nice guy to raise somebody else's children. And like, this is what feminism has pretty much allowed, because it's eroded those like key and fundamental values of courtship, loyalty, and monogamy. Like, it's allowed women to be promiscuous and like birth a child from a fuckboy, from a one night stand, and then afterwards be able to have a nice guy to raise the child. So that's the third reason. So now on to the fourth. And the fourth reason of why the black pill is being more and more confirmed is because of resource abundance. So if you're a man now, and from what you've seen in the last like 15 minutes or whatever, like, you're probably thinking, oh, all is good. I just need to become a nice guy, because I might not be able to raise I might not be able to reproduce, but I'll still be able to marry a woman and have lots of sex from then. But that's not going to be your best option. So, like, obviously, I think every single man can agree that they want to start their own seed. They want to grow their own children who they like had offspring for. Like, that goes without saying. But even then, it's not even a viable option anymore to try and do this because of resource abundance. being a beta provider, as what is commonly referred to, isn't even an option anymore because, well, first of all, women can work for themselves. Like, being a single mother is not an issue anymore because women are in the workforce. They can raise the child quite comfortably by themselves. They are able to work. So like they were able to make their own income and raise a child. So they don't need a beta provider to provide those extra resources and look after the family. And the second reason is because instead of marrying a beta provider, they can more or less marry the state, so to speak. So in Western countries, we have very generous welfare systems and institutions in place, and like they are very lenient for single mothers. So they can like just rely on welfare state to provide all of the resources they need. So resource abundance has pretty much made this man, the beta male, beta provider, redundant, so to speak. So those are the four reasons for why the black pill is becoming more confirmed in the 21st century. And like just to reiterate and summarize, so the first reason is technology. This has put greater emphasis on looks and less on personality. Let me reiterate that Instagram will show how pretty and good looking and tall a boyfriend is, but it won't show how good his personality is. Number two is options. So it means women can afford to be more selective and filter out bad suitors more easily. So they are less likely to settle for a man who is lacking things. So why would they settle for a man who only ticks like 3 of their like 4 boxes when they can wait for a man who ticks every single one of their boxes, who is literally could be waiting right around the corner on Tinder? He's the next swipe. And the third reason, which I would say is like the biggest reason, is feminism. So it's all good having these two things, but without feminism, like these two things mean nothing. Because feminism has destigmatized promiscuity, single motherhood, remarriage, etc. nowadays. Like women, like single mothers, like which once were almost like ostracized from society. Like it was socially and financially unviable for a woman to become a single mother, is now like venerated. Like single mothers are celebrated for like going on that like sort of venture. So feminism has like completely eroded these core values that we once used to hold in terms of like forming relationships, and it has allowed for like all of these promiscuity, single motherhood, like remarriage, like divorce, like it's nothing. Like people won't even blink an eye, and like these sort of things. And then the fourth reason is resource abundance. So this is made like this is like the final nail in the coffin for anyone who's a nice guy and they think that they can just work their way up to getting a wife. So it's made resourceful men and good providers redundant in the sexual marketplace. So because of the reasons I stated, they can either marry the state or work for themselves to provide the resources for their child. And just to finish, like, what is the result of this? Here's a few data points. So 4 in 10 children are born to unwed mothers. So in the 1940s, it was roughly 4.5 maybe percent of children being born to unwed mothers, and now that is 40.8%. And that is because of these reasons, particularly feminism and resource abundance, that it is like which once was a huge danger and risk, and like pretty much guaranteeing your child's death, falling pregnant for a one-night stand in the early 1900s, has now become a viable option, and the resources will be there to raise that child for the reasons already stated. So I'm not going to, as I said in the start, that this isn't going to be an evaluative video. This is merely going to be presenting information for you. So you can draw your own conclusions from this. But I'm just going to say that the rate of which unwed mothers is increasing, and it's increasing at an alarming rate. Like, what's that, a 8-fold, 10-fold, 8, 9, 10-fold increase in the last 80 years? And the second statistic I have is the divorce rate in 1900 was 7%, and now it is 40 to 50% from 1975 to the present. So why would a woman be concerned with divorce nowadays when she has so much financial and social stability and security, even after divorcing, which once was a social, financial, and death sentence for her child in the 1900s, is now like almost an advantage, like because she has so many options with regard to resource abundance to like help raise her child. So like those are the four like reasons here that I've outlined, and here's like some of the implications, and you can draw your own conclusions from this. Like I'm not going to evaluate this like that'll be for a future video, like the implications, but you can like try and figure out yourself like what potential solutions are going to be in the future to try and like solve like these like heartbreaking statistics